The World Health Organization, WHO, says Nigeria accounted for 31% of malaria deaths recorded globally in 2021. The organization, in its World Malaria Report, said despite the continued impact of COVID-19, malaria cases and deaths remained stable in 2021. The WHO said there were 247 million malaria cases and 619,000 deaths globally in 2021, adding that the figures show an increase of 2 million cases and a decrease of 6 million deaths compared to the start of the pandemic in 2019. According to the report, Nigeria was among 4 countries that accounted for almost half of all the cases globally and among 4 countries that accounted for over half of malaria deaths. Now, to speak more on this development, Philip Njemanze, public health expert, joins me now. Thank you for joining me on the news, Philip. Now, despite being preventable and treatable, malaria has continued to be a health challenge in Nigeria. Why do you think the country still sees the high increase in malaria cases and deaths?
Well, the problem is that we have adopted a strategy from the onset that would not work. The strategy now for prevention and actually combating and rollback malaria program is very deficient. It fails in the concept and it fails in practical health application. We have advocated a homegrown strategy which we published since 2015, and it's a very simple strategy for elimination of malaria in Nigeria and across Africa. I will just recite it very simply to our listeners. 1, we must designate throughout the year 4 malarial days. What that means is every 3 months there will be malarial drugs administered to every citizen, every person living in the Federal Republic of Nigeria. What that means is that everybody is taking it at the same time. So not at intervals. Both the adults and the children and the under 5s, everybody is given the same drugs they take, but now simultaneously. What does that mean? Malaria is transmitted through a vector. So that means at a given point in time, many people around will not have the malarial parasite in their blood. That will break the transmission. And if we do this with in 2 years, we will break the transmission completely and we eradicate malaria. This is the only strategy I see going forward that will work in this country and across Africa. The strategies being adopted thus far will not work, given what we have. The water and sanitation programs cannot be gotten to the level whereby we can eradicate malaria as it was done elsewhere in the past. And of course, we have challenges with the weather, which promotes the growth of transmission. So we really need a strategy where we can use the functional AZT drugs now and use it to break the transmission. 4 malarial days every year, that means at intervals of 3 months, and we can eradicate malaria in blood of all citizens at the same time. This is the only strategy I see going forward that will work for Nigeria.
All right. Now, the recent figure by the WHO says Nigeria topped the chart of countries with the most malaria deaths. Is there ever a way for the country to see a decline in malaria deaths? What can be done?
Yes, a lot can be done. As I said, we can break the transmission and then stop the malaria cases. And going forward, we can reduce, once we reduce the incidence, we can reduce the deaths. And of course, early detection is very, very important. And the complications that develop is actually the driving force for death in Nigeria. So I say the best way to go now is basically to use the system which we have advocated since 2015, that we should use the massive use of AZT for everybody at the same time 4 times a year.
Well, public health expert Dr. Philip Njemanze, thank you very much for your time and contribution.